facade of the wonderful Isaac Theatre Royal, just recently refurbished after a $40 million refit. So the facade back to its original from 1908, which is lovely. Coming into Cathedral Junction, this is the closest we come to the Cardboard Cathedral, just 200 yards to our left down Worcester Boulevard in front of us. CTV side, it's about 200 yards to our left as we come into Worcester Boulevard.
Next one will be 10:30,
Just looking to the right and behind us, a lovely mural there painted in just 2 days by a young Melbourne artist called Rone, R-O-N-E. It's one of my favourite pieces of artwork around the city at the moment. I love the eyes and the silver ferns in the hair. We're going into Cathedral Square. This was the site of a fabulous old hotel called Warner's. Just where these cars are parked to our immediate right was Warner's Hotel. It's where all the travellers that went down to Antarctica, the wonderful explorers in the 19th and 20th century used to have a quick whiskey before they went south. But if you look back now at the Novotel, that facade is the same as the Warner's facade was. It was built right next to Warner's, and they were running it as one hotel until the earthquake when Warner's unfortunately came down. Head to the left, it's Christchurch Cathedral, built between 1860 and 1900. And the lovely chalice in front, a sculpture by the artist Neil Dawson, presented to Christchurch to commemorate the millennium changeover of 1999-2000. So we're coming up to stop number 3, Cathedral Square. Queen of the Duke of Edinburgh stayed there on a number of occasions, but the Beatles also stayed there in 1964 when they had a concert at Christchurch, and you can imagine all the screaming young teenage girls who were here that day. The Beatles came out onto a balcony and waved to the crowd. There were a few jealous boyfriends, however, on the other side of the street. He threw some apples at them, so the Beatles climbed up the fire escape right up onto the top of the building, out of the way of the apples. A bit incident there. Looking far to the left, you see the building going up, which is called the Terraces, which is going to be a new development on the banks of the Avon River, in an area that used to be called the Strip, of restaurants, bars and accommodation. And outside, working gas lamp and a hitching post for their horses. The Language International building to our right, former Worcester Chambers, which was accommodation for a number of lawyers and accountants, professional people over the years, recently been turned into the language school. Up the walkway to our left is the Christchurch City Council offices, probably the Postal Mail Centre, and $100 million spent on changing the building around. They added new facades to it, extra mezzanine floors inside, quite a large project. Opened in 2010, just a week before the first earthquakes. To our right, the Christchurch Art Gallery, just undergoing some earthquake repairs. A lovely glass wall up there, which one of our tram drivers refers to as the window washer's nightmare. I can understand why. Just stop here at the moment to have a look at some of the lovely buildings that make up the Christchurch Arts Centre. Originally, Christchurch Boys High and Canterbury University. The Boys High moved out in the early 1900s, and the university in the 1970s. And these buildings became the home to artists of all types of arts, including actors and actresses. We had the Court Theatre here, ballerinas, we had the Southern Ballet here, at all times. In fact, some of the artists who were operating inside this building have set up shop in a little mini container mall, which you'll see on the right-hand side in a moment's time. Behind the Doctor Who TARDIS, the police box, is the Astro Lounge. The big building is a 5-star boutique hotel called the Classic Villa, run by Peter Morrison and the Morrison family. He's the man who's president of our Hospitality Association in Christchurch. As we come up to the right, Rolleston House, the youth hostel for Christchurch, where lots of young people from around the world come and stay. Someone working in the kitchen there I can see. A couple of young boys, that's good to see them cooking. And we've got all the bunk rooms around the top. Now reached the museum. This is Canterbury Museum in front of us. Lovely building that's been totally restored. It's open until 5 o'clock tonight. It's free of charge to look through. A number of great exhibits in it. And if you're feeling like a cup of tea, there's a tea room on the 4th floor. And right next to it is the Christchurch Botanic Gardens. Wonderful chance to go for a look around the gardens. And in 10 minutes time, the Caterpillar electric tram will be there. That could take you for a guided tour if you're interested in seeing all the different flowers. Christ's College, an independent boys' school run by the Anglican Church, and they've been on this site since 1856. The school was basically founded on board the ships as they came out here in 1850 with the early settlers. If you have a look to the left, my son was saying the other day, it looks like Hogwarts from Harry Potter's. Some wonderful old buildings in it. 630 boys in the school, of which 170 are boarders, and they live in the buildings across the road, including the famous Flowers House there, named after one of their rectors or headmasters. The entrance to Hagley Park. Hagley Park I always refer to as the lungs of our city. 186 hectares, right in the middle of town. It's all open. There's a couple of lakes in the middle, Lake Victoria and Albert, where model powerboats operate. There's a golf course. There's about 80 different sports fields. And if you're feeling energetic and you want to go for a walk, 6 kilometres of tracks go right around the edge of it. It's where we also hold lots of festivals. I've only just finished the Wine and Food Festival, getting ready for the Buskers Festival in a couple of weeks' time. Right, used to be the home to Christchurch Girls High School. Beautiful old building. All the girls were there and they'd come across to the left to Cramner Square to have their lunch. So it used to be a very bustling area. And if you're a fan of Peter Jackson movies, the last one he made before Lord of the Rings was a movie called Heavenly Creatures starring Kate Winslet. It was based all around here. Based on a true story actually about 2 Christchurch girls, my pupils, who plotted to kill the mother of one of them and unfortunately succeeded. Very interesting movie, so we often bring it out on DVD and have a look. It reminds me of what this area used to be like only 10, 15 years ago. 100 years memorial of the Gallipoli landings on Anzac Day next year. Over to the far right, you see some of the new buildings going up, the new architecture that we're experiencing, in fact our future heritage. And later on in the day, if you're wanting to flutter, the High Court, the District Court and the Family Court, all in this complex of buildings. And to the right, the lovely old buildings of the provincial chambers from the 1860s, when New Zealand didn't have a central government. We were run by provincial governments. The Canterbury Association was run here. Those buildings have been made weathertight and will be restored at a later date. Great view down to the left of the River Avon, Victoria Street Bridge and the Town Hall. And now a brand new vista of our cathedral. There used to be buildings in the way here. They've all come down to make way for the new convention centre. This one I think is the last one on this site to be demolished, so it's being pulled to pieces at the moment. And this is Victoria Square with the statue of Queen Victoria just to our left. I think there's more statues of Queen Victoria around the world than of anybody else. So.
Yeah.
As you drive through Christchurch, just a reminder, wherever you see an empty section, there used to be some magnificent old buildings there. Unfortunately, we lost about 60% of the buildings in the inner city with our seismic events. Some came down with the earthquake, but a lot unfortunately were demolished afterwards. I kind of liken it to a car accident. You have the car airbags to protect you. When you have an accident and you get out of the car, and then it's up to you and your insurance company to decide whether you're going to panel beat the car or completely dispose of it. Well, the same thing has happened with buildings here. Most of the buildings did protect the people inside. We had 2 major buildings that collapsed and killed a lot of people. The others have been brought down since the event. Coming up on our right, the area that's been set aside for the Performing Arts Precinct, with the crown jewel being the building that has the ballerina painted on the back of it. That's the Isaac Theatre Royal, a beautiful live theatre that's been there since 1908. Had $40 million spent on it since the earthquake to completely restore it, and it's looking great inside. It's been open a month now. We're very proud to have it back. Here's my favourite little street in all of New Zealand, not just Christchurch. This is New Regent Street, built in 1932. I'll just stop a wee bit sooner to let this truck here pass.